You know, motorcycling isn't just about the good times. Sometimes you've got to roll with the punches. Sometimes things just happen that are totally out of your control, and sometimes they're in your control, but you make a mistake. Well, the question is, do you learn from that mistake?
Joining us today live on set, a special guest.
What's up, motor people? My name's Neil Meekins, and this is the Motor Chat Show. And today, my special guest is a guy who reached literally a pinnacle in his motorcycling, but not for the best reasons. Today, my guest is Stephen Bannister. And Stephen has an amazing story to not only to tell, but to teach us all. This is a slightly darker side to the world of motorcycling, but it's something that we are all familiar with every time that we get on a motorcycle. Stephen, welcome to the show. How you doing, buddy?
How you doing?
Perfect, my friend. You?
Yeah, good. Can you see me all right and everything?
Yeah, no problem whatsoever. I like your little picture in the background there, Steve.
Oh, the Lego man, yeah. It just cuts it out.
What is it, plastic then?
No, it's plywood.
That's really good. You sell some of those for Christmas. Take us back in time a little bit. What was your first bike? You know,
Yeah,
when did you pass your test? And I know you've had a lot of experience in the motorcycling world, and let's get a bit of background about your racing, you know, your likes, your don't likes. Have you had any accidents in the past, you know?
It all started really, a mate of mine, Dean Barrowick, he had a long time ago, it must have been 90, what's K-Reg, 93, is it?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
So, yeah.
He had a ZXR 400. He used to ride like a loon everywhere. It was just full bore everywhere. And I used to go on back of him. And we used to go to lakes hot weekend and things like that, and that got me the bug, you know. For years, I never really sort of did it, you know. But it was one of them things I thought I want. I was always looking at bikes, and you know, that's that. And I knew them all, you know, as they were going past and stuff. And then one day, I came home with a helmet, and my missus says, "What's that?" I says, "Oh, I bought a bike." Anyway, I bought it's quite a rare thing actually. It was an Aprilia it was an AF 125 Sport Pro.
Wow.
Cracking bit of kit. I've never ever seen another. It was in white, black, red, and yellow. It had a single-sided swing arm on a 125.
Wow.
A 160 section rear. It were a high level exhaust. If you Google it, they look fantastic. Limited edition thing. I think they built them for, I may be wrong, but for the like Aprilia racing thing, and then they released some for it as road bikes. Anyway, I had that. Did my CBT twice because I never passed my test. They were all scared about doing my testing. You know, it was one of them things. It took me 3 times to pass my driving test, so I thought I'll never do it. So did my CBT twice, but obviously it runs out and then I could do it again. This is 1996, is this?
Yeah.
So then got rid of that, moved on, had a few years off, and then a couple of mates of mine from that I knew that lived near me, they'd got UK 748, one lad had an R1, you know, and I thought, I'm going to do it. So I went out and bought another Aprilia RS 125 in 2000. Had that for 3-4 years, did my CVT again, finally passed my test, and bought a GSX-R 750, first bike Nessa had. Absolutely loved it. Great being back out, you know what I mean, on a good bike. I mean, I've ridden other lads' bikes, you know, had a go on them on the AR1 and things like that, and thought, yeah, I'm going to do this. Passed my test first time, great, loved it. Out, had a bit of a break from the sport bike, went on to doing a bit of enduro stuff, green laning and that with a lad. got a Husselberg, biggest mistake I ever made in my life. Had the mentality of power. I need power for off-roading. Husselbergs, I think they're Swedish. With a 500 single cylinder, ridiculous thing. Used to wheel it on throttle in third, big heavy thing. Kickstart were on the wrong side. They put the kickstart on the other side, so that was awkward. And it just broke down all the time. You know, for the 5 minutes a month that it ran all right, it was the best bike ever. But my mates on the opposite, they were like, "Yeah, you don't want one of them. You don't want one of them. Get a little 300 two-stroke KTM or something like that." Don't get in the God, what have you bought, you know? Anyway, bought some Super Moto wheels for that because I want to go back on the road. Anyway, bouncing down gears, bump, cam chain, smashes it, engine to bits. So that got sold. And I've had, over years, I think I've had, since 2000, I've had 26 bikes, I think. I once wrote it down. I've gone from, you know, sports bikes to, I had a Harley for a bit. I think I had that for about 3 or 4 months, 1200 Sportster. Loved it, but bought it in January. So, you know, not a nice sunny afternoon. It was a bit chilly. Great. I loved it as a second bike. You know, I can see what they are. Loved it. I would have another, but I've always sort of been sport bikes, you know, and I missed that. Well, not the grunt, because it's got more grunt than a sports bike probably, but it was great. But I think I had it 3 months or something like that. Chopped it in, got another R1. I've had track bikes, you know, done a session on track days, learned a hell of a lot about me riding track days.
Yeah.
Recommend it to anybody, you know. If you're struggling with anything, it does translate to the road. Right. And I think it makes you realise that the bike is better than you, you know. Do
you think a lot of people are scared to do track days, Steve?
Yeah. I think there is a bit of a stigma with track days, I think, as well. You know, that you've got to have the best bike, you've got to have the gear, you know, the tyre warmers and all that business. I was talking to one at Marshall's track day at Alton Park, and he said, literally, not belittling the guys at all, by no means, but what he said was, you know, your average road tyre, for the pace that an intermediate rider, not a fast group rider, an intermediate rider is going at, and the sort of how they ride it, your average road tyre is more than good enough. It says they've moved on so much. You don't need super coursers and tyre warmers and things like that, because the heat cycles just wreck them. You know, you put tyre warmers on, you do 2 laps, they've actually cooled down. You know, it's gone. The time you've got out there and done your lap with the Marshall, your first one, you know, and then you're off. It says they're a waste of time. You're wrecking your tyres, you know. And he said just go out there and just have fun, you know. I would recommend it to anybody. If you're going to do it, be very careful, because there's a lot of how can I put it, plastic Rosses out there that, you know, they try too hard to get the knee down, or, you know, get past a rider, and there's a lot of idiots out there that, you know, they will T-bone you, you know, not because they don't know the laws of track days. They think it's a race, and they've got to get past the rider and strut back into paddock, you know what I mean, and things like that.
They just push their limits a little bit too much when you've got other people around you. Yeah. And what you've got to remember is, you know, if you're on a track day and I come hurtling past you and I lose it and take you out, you've got no comeback. You know, it's just an accident. You know, I can't claim for my insurance because it's on track. It's classed as time trialing, racing, whatever. It's in the insurance. Yeah. But you can't claim off me. You have got to put in a personal claim against me, which is very difficult to do. So it's just one of them things, you know. And it is a risk that you're going to take. But if you're going to do it, pick your track. You know. Yep. Not simple. My first track day was Donington. A lot of people like, why? But it's a fantastic track. You know, it's big, it's wide, it's not overly technical. It's a big sweeping. You know, it's quick. You can get some speed up, but there's not a lot of
overly technical little tight hairpins where you potentially have loads of people piling in. You know, even the hairpin at the bottom is big and wide.
A lap of Donington GP circuit, coming up to the start and finish. Second gear, third gear, fourth gear, coming into red gate, third, second, looking to the apex, onto the apex, back onto throttle, up towards Hollywood, third, stop Hollywood, third gear, pulling it back, change over, crane the curves, into the old hairpin, down to second, up to the apex, out the apex, up to the two left, the Swansons, cut through the first one, into third, swing out, nice wide sweep the second left into the planes, down to second, turn in early, hold, drift out, up into coppice, back down to second, drift out, pull back for the second apex, up into third, fourth, one rise, just before the second rise, braking, back down to second for the S's, just missed the first curve, over the second curve, drift out, down to Melbourne Loop, up into third, back down to first, catch the second apex, power out, up into Goddard, second, third, back down to first, looking for a late apex, getting a straight run out, back at the start and finish.
I guess that's a good point. And not only do you pick your track at the track day, but make sure you're not going on something overly too technical for, that's what you're saying, for your abilities.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd recommend it to anybody doing a track day. You do learn a lot. You learn the capabilities of the bike, and how hard you can brake, and the fact that front tire will hold. You know, if your suspension's adjustable, there's guys there that'll help you set it up. But tell them you want it sort of a midway between the track and the road, or you want it setting up for the road. And so when you go back on the road, it feels better, you know, and you learn to trust the bike. You know, you come to a corner and you think, oh, and you start 50 pence in it and stuff. And once you've been on track and you know that the bike will go around that corner, then that translates to the road. But you've got to do it properly, not use the road as a track.
I was going to say, you must get a lot of guys that come off the tracks and then they're pushing it on some of the roads and using the skills from the track on the road, and it doesn't always translate. There must be a big difference.
No. Yeah, definitely. The surface is different. You know, you're not constantly on the right hand side of the tire for a long time. Right. You know, so you're slowing down for traffic, and so your tires are warm, cold. You know, things like that. It all affects it. You know, you've got a road that you've ridden on 100 times, but yet you come round that corner one time and a tractor's been on it and there's mud on it. You know, it's just little things like that. You know, don't take for granted what's on that road that you've ridden 1,000 times. You know what it's like. The weather changes, roads change, everything changes. You know, but it doesn't on a track. That's the thing. That surface is the same. It's clean. You know, unless you've had a car race on it the day before. There's bubbles of rubber oil, you know, and whatever. And you run a little bit wide on a corner, but chances are the speed you're going, you're not going to come off. You know what I mean? But there's that many variables on road. You can't really translate how you ride. But you can translate what you know that the bike can do and what you can do. You know, but you can't push it. You know, you really can't.
But like you said, learning the handling and the capabilities of the bike is going to just give your perception level and your skills level that extra boost, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Have you had an accident ever? You know, have you fallen off on a track day?
Yeah, the R1. That were my own fault. It was the last track day I ever did, actually. Oldham Park, fast group. I've been doing track days for probably a couple of years. Got quite competent. I wasn't mega fast, but I could run quite confidently in fast group. Sort of not racing, but there were me and a guy on a blade. We were sort of backwards and forwards, to-ing and fro-ing. Sort of same sort of capability, you know what I mean? Last session at day, and they warn you, last session at day, take it easy. You know, don't go mental because it's the last session and you think, right, I'm going to go for it now. And I must have had my earplugs in or something. And me and this guy's having this sort of backwards and forwards tussle, not getting silly, you know what I mean? And then it was coming up to sort of back end of session, coming round Lodge Corner, and he were a bit sort of, I don't know if his tyres were going or he were getting tired or whatever, but he was just starting to run a little bit wide and things like that. And I thought, geez, get on with this guy now. And I just whooped it right underneath him, going into Deer's Leap, round Lodge into Deer's Leap. And as it drops away, I just wound it on, ready to pick bike up, and I just wound it on that bit too soon, and whoop, gone, you know. And next minute, I know I'm skidding along on my bum, flying through air, skidding along on my bum. The guy on the blade had obviously got target fixation, looked at me, and I'm looking at him coming straight at me on a blade, so I'm sort of tumbling out of the way, looking across, and my bike's bounce, and then it dug in and flipped up in air and landed on the upside down on the tank, smashed tank to bits, snapped subframe, it was smashed it written off.
What's been your favourite couple of bikes over the years? For different reasons, you know.
I love the Harley. I really did like the Harley. Yeah, it was good. It was nice. Like I said, I just bought it wrong time of year. If I bought it in summer, you know, just jeans on, jacket on. I put flat bars on it. I've done it like not a full-blown bobber, but it had the flat bars, and I'd stripped everything off it, and that, you know, it was a lovely thing. 1200 Sports to Sports, so it had the twin discs on the front.
Nice, big difference that.
Yeah, well, it was lovely. Had the tank raised on it as well, and things like that. You know, I had a 2002 RSV Millie Aprilia. It was the matte black. They did one all in matte black.
Gorgeous.
Big booming thing like that. And then the R1 that I had the accident on. I don't think I've ever really kept a bike for longer than sort of 12 months. I've never, up until the R1 that I had the accident on. That is only the second bike I've ever MOT'd.
Obviously, this is going to be a little bit of a darker conversation.
Yeah.
And it's something that we want other people to understand. There's a lot of people who don't want to listen to this kind of stuff. Every motorcyclist has got this in the back of their mind somewhere. Maybe not all the time, but quite a lot. Every time you get on a bike, every time you hear about somebody else, every time you come home safe, it's always something you're thinking about. So for the people who don't know, Steve had a near fatal accident. So 2019, 12th of May.
18 months.
Take us back to last May.
Yeah.
And what bike did you have? What was going on in your mind on that day? And basically, we'll talk through kind of what happened to you.
Bought myself a 2005 R1 5VY. Beautiful thing, really was. The bike I was keeping, you know, I'd already had it 18 months. So, you know,
it's a long time for you.
Yeah, definitely. I'd actually bought it from Castles. Previous year, I mean, Squire's guy comes up to me and says, "That's my old bike." Anyway, lad called Ian Hammond, and so anyway, I said, "I'm going out. Do you want to come with us?" So he rode with us from Squire's, just outside Leeds, to Helmsley. And then he went off and I came home. And we've kept in touch ever since. Totally out of blue, that 12th of May. Sort of, we'd not planned it, but you know, we were going out on bikes sort of Sundays and Wednesdays and things like that anyway. So he messaged me, do you fancy going out on bike Sunday, 12th of May? Yeah, go on then. So I asked my missus, can I go out? Yeah. So gets on bike, meets at Squires. Normal, sunny, nice Sunday. Planned on going to Bridlington. So we sets off, bit of traffic, goes out past Squires on the road towards Carewood. It's a road I've ridden on for 20 odd years, do you know what I mean? It's, there's a big sweeping S-bend, there's fields you can see all the way around it. Few cars, so they're just doing what you do, hop from car to car. Not going quick at all. Comes up behind the car. You could see right to the other end of the S-bend. Ian overtakes the car. I looks, goes to overtake the car. There's a Nissan Duke coming towards us the other way, and I looks in my mirror to pull back in, looked up, and there he is in front of me. And a few profanities come out. Yeah, I can remember it, you know, clear as day, and bang, and that was it then. That's, I hit the front wing. I hit the front wing, he sort of turned in. I think we sort of more or less met in the middle of the road. He's turned in, and it threw me quite a way down the road with the bike into a load of bushes. And the first thing I sort of can recall is I just seem to remember landing in the bushes on my back, and thinking, like, you know, like you do, no pain, nothing, of course. And then all I could smell was petrol, and I looked to my left, and I'm well into the bushes, and I looked to my left, and I could see tanker bike, and just smell hot petrol, and I'm just thinking, if I'm stuck in these bushes here, I'm not getting out if that goes on fire. Still no pain at all, just laid there, and I'm shouting, drag bike out, get bike away from me, because it just like, it couldn't go on fire, this.
Who was you shouting at though? Who was there?
I've no idea. I mean, obviously, I know I've been in an accident with cars around, you know what I mean, and I could sort of, I just imagined there'd be people there, you know. I didn't know if anybody were there. And then I could hear people then going, yeah, and bike were moving, you know, and I could see it shuffling about and stuff anyway. But, you know, trying to drag a smashed up bike out of a hedgerow is not an easy thing. It's hard enough picking them up when they're falling over, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, anyway, they dragged the bike away, and they're going, you're all right, don't move. You know, I could hear sort of things like that. I've had accidents in the past, don't get me wrong. Not involving cars, other cars, I've just sort of lost front or whatever.
Yeah.
I've always sort of known, you know, just move about a little bit, see if your hopes are, you know, or whatever, move your neck a little bit or whatever. Anyway, I started to feel really hot and I couldn't breathe and stuff like that. So still no pain at all. Takes my helmet off, moved my neck about, took my helmet off. And then I just, you know, when you get like a hot sweats and stuff like that. So I went to unzip my levers, got down to sort of there, and it sort of stopped, and I looked down and my leg were there on my chest, sort of thing.
On your chest?
Yeah. Sole of my boot, and I just went, oh, and I threw it, and it still didn't. All I thought is I broke my leg. So unzipped my levers, you know, takes my gloves off, and that was one thing that threw the paramedics, because with my leg injury, they were trying to work out, they were looking all over me why there was blood on my gloves, because there was just no blood anywhere else, and actually in the hospital, that's when I said, you know, when I come round after, that was what happened. So that cleared that up, because they couldn't work it out. But it was weird. I'd still got no pain at all. And then all of a sudden, just this. You can't. You remember it hurting, but you can't remember the pain, can you? You know, when you hurt yourself. And it was just the worst, excruciating pain I've ever had, ever. I was screaming, swearing, you know, everything was coming out, you know, I've never known out like it. The one thing that amazed everybody is that I'd never passed out, never lost consciousness. 40 minutes, the ambulance took to come. Wow. So 40 minutes, I'm laid in this bush, screaming. The guy that I overtook, don't know his name. I'd love to get in touch with him, but an absolute legend. He stayed with me, looked after me, made sure I were all right. The paramedics came, you know, in the car guys. They were the first there. Looked after me. They did have a problem getting me boots off. I always wear Alpine Stars SMX boots, and they've got like a ratchet strap that goes round, and then you've got a zip, and then you've got a drawstring in a boot. Right. So they were struggling to get me boots off. And then I remember they would say, you know, keep calm, you're all right, don't move, and blah, blah, blah. They were sticking stuff all over me, and still totally conscious, in absolute agony, never known how like it. Worse than toothache and standing on Lego. That's how I can put it. So I remember him saying, "Can we cut your leathers off?" And I'm like, "What? You know, I mean, just do what you need to do, you know." And I was getting a bit ratty, you know what I mean? So we're in agony. And I thought, yeah, the pain will go away, but obviously they've got things to do, haven't they? They were trying to work out how to get me out of the bushes, basically. I think that was one of the issues. Ian were there as well, Ian Hammond, who, you know, great lad. He was there, he's, you know, keep calm and everything. Yeah. It's actually Ian that took the pictures that you've got. I remember him saying, you know, "Can we cut your leathers off? Can we cut your leathers?" And I'm going, "Yeah, just do what you want." And apparently they've got to ask, because some fools in their infinite wisdom have thought that they could claim off the NHS for them damaging the leathers, you know, when they come off them and stuff. So they have to ask permission. And I'm like, "Yeah, just do what you want." So anyway, yeah, they cut my leathers off and that. And I remember just as soon as they cut my leathers off, I just felt, you know, like something was just draining. And I seemed to feel cool, you know. I'd been red hot, constantly red hot, and I was like, you know, and then having drinks of water and things. They cut my leathers off, and I felt comfortable, but it was just like some pressure had gone. It was weird. And I remember him saying something with my leg, and it was really bad, you know what I mean. And I remember him shouting, "Get a tourniquet, we're losing him," and I just blacked out. And then I sort of come round for some reason, and I remember him saying, "Right, this pain, we're going to give you some ketamine," and I'm like, "I don't want that," you know. And they gave me it, and it like I was on an alien spaceship or something, you know. It was just weird, and I knew something were happening because I could hear things, but it was like, you know, when you've got like tinnitus or something, and it's right echoey and metallic, but I couldn't really see, where everything were a bit blurry. And I remember him lifting me out of the bushes. I remember moving. I remember the sound of the ambulance. And then the next thing I remember is really fuzzy-eyed. I couldn't really see, and they were like, there were a light shining, and there were a shape, a figure over top of me, saying, "We've had to, just letting you know, we've had to take your leg off." That was the surgeon. Why I remember it, I don't know. He can't work it out. But apparently, what they do is with a traumatic amputation that's not planned, so you don't know what's going to happen, to cut the shock down of you having your leg off, it's sort of, while you're under anaesthetic, they bring you around a little bit, and they tell you, and then they put you back under. And so that when you wake up, it's not a, where's my leg gone? You know, one of them sort of scenarios. And,
Yeah.
and I asked him about that. I said, did you wake me up and tell me you put my leg off? And he said, yeah. You know, so that you know about it when you wake up, sort of thing. And I remember waking up, and I don't know whether it was the morphine or what it was, but when I seem to remember being in hospital and not being, I wouldn't say not bothered, but I didn't wake up and think, oh my God, what am I going to do with my legs here? I just sort of come round and it was like it was, I knew about it and it were fine, you know. So yeah, that's the ins and outs basically of how I've ended up where I am now. One thing that, you know, obviously my missus were coming to see me, my kids in hospital. I was in hospital for a grand total of 2 weeks and 1 day. The left, you know, maybe going into the gruesomenesses of it.
Yeah, please.
Because it was a life and death, basically. They
Yeah.
would take his leg off, and it was decided it had to come off.
Where did they take the leg from, Steve? What part?
It's above my knee. They had to work with what was left.
Okay.
So it was that badly damaged. They have got photographs of it. The surgeon said, he says, we haven't had that one, a leg injury, as bad as that for years.
Really?
Yeah, and he asked me if they could use the pictures, you know, for training and things like that. He says it was bad.
Yeah.
Personally, I've not seen the pictures. Don't think I'm ready.
No.
He said you can if you ever want them. He says get in touch with me and you can have them. He says because it says some people won't see them, not for any grimness, gruesomeness. Look how bad it was. You know what I mean? He says it gives you some closure as to why they had to take it off, and not why couldn't they fix it? Why? You know, it's that questioning it.
When you think about, you know, the likes of Barry Sheen, and they've had all these pins and plates put in them to keep them together, and Evel Knievel jumping across buses and smashing himself to pieces, and you have one accident and...
Yeah, just, you know, in my head, I've had crashes before and got up and walked away, you know what I mean? So you think you're invincible after a while.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've seen the pictures, and the car's bad, but it's not, you know, my bike's smashed to bits. But I'm thinking, well, I just bounced off the side of a car and landed in a bush. Yeah. It hurt a bit, you know what I mean? But why couldn't they fix it?
Yeah.
So I do question in my own head.
Right.
How bad was it?
When you was laying there and you threw your leg.
Yeah.
You threw your right leg down and it caused a twist in the leg.
Yeah, apparently they said something about regarding the leathers had spun, so that's probably one of the reasons why I didn't bleed out in the road.
So quick, yeah,
because it created a tourniquet effect sort of thing.
Right.
And I do remember the guy, the ambulance guy, cutting my leathers. And it was just literally, I was sort of sat looking like that, and I remember him cutting the leathers, and he would just, next minute he had blood all over him, and it must have just been
coming out,
release sort of thing. It was a bit of a gruesome scene, I think. It was.
Well, it's a bit like a battlefield type scene, isn't it? Like
yeah. I mean, Ian Hammond, back there, the guy that has been an absolute diamond all the way through it, and you know, he was with me that day. He said that when he first come up to the scene, he knew I'd lost it. So
did Ian hear anything?
He remembers overtaking the car.
Yeah.
And then sort of as he's going around the corner, but he says, I remember looking in my mirrors like a bomb had gone off. He said it was carnage, you know. So he's gone off and turned round and come back. Obviously on a bike, you can't just, you know. So he's gone up to the next bit and turned round and come back. Yeah. Which was one thing that some of the car driver witnesses had commented on, saying that the guy that he was with left him, and they obviously didn't realise that Ian, when he's come back, was the guy that I was with, and obviously it took him a minute or two to get to somewhere where he could turn round.
Yeah, of course.
I think they thought that he was somebody just coming the other way that had stopped.
I mean,
Um,
like any, if your friend has just had an accident like that, and you're coming back to see that, that must have
yeah.
really had an effect on him as
Oh
well.
yeah, seeing somebody
Yeah,
laid there screaming, and you know that they've lost their leg. He says when I saw it, I knew I'd gone, and that's as much as he said. He's never really commented on how bad it was or what it looked like. All he said is really that there didn't seem that much blood at the time.
yeah,
But he said I knew he'd lost it there and then. So it makes you, when somebody like that says something like that, it sort of makes it click into place.
yeah.
That even before, I mean, I don't know if my livers were ripped or whether it was just all mangled or
Twisted,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah. Do I want to know? Not yet. Do you know what I mean? But
It's
yeah,
funny because I know people that have had, they've come off their bike, have bounced into a field. Literally have a friend who, very, very experienced rider, came off his bike, and he has no recollection at all of those seconds.
Yeah.
None at all. And that's,
Yeah. I mean, I'd have thought as your brain's way of protecting you, it'd have blacked it out and put it into your subconscious, and whatever. But from day one, even laid in hospital full of morphine, I remembered everything, every little bit. I was even laid in hospital saying to my missus, "Where's my bike? Where's my bike? Get me bike home."
Right, yeah.
Because I'm sort of talking nonsense and full of morphine.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it." I'm going, "No, where's my bike? Get me bike home." And it all clicked into place after she realised that because it's a road accident, the police get your bike and they put it in a compound and they charge you for recovery and they charge you a daily storage fee. And all I'm thinking is, this is going to cost me a fortune. Get me bike home the sooner you can. And anyway, in the end, she realised and got in touch with my brother and a mate of mine, Rob Oates, and they went and actually got me bike from the police compound and brought it home. So I was still talking sense and mentally processing things, even when I'm laid full of morphine. It were the logical side of it was still there, and I were recalling the accident word for word, like I have with you. Even then, it's never gone away ever. It's as clear as day.
When you woke up and it finally dawned on you, what was your reaction that you've got no leg on your right side anymore? What kind of goes through your head then?
I'm going to ride again.
So that was the way you faced this, was to...
Yes, even then it were like I made a joke of it, and we laughed about it, cried about it.
Yeah.
But I was going to ride again. It wasn't going to beat me. No way. And it still won't, I don't think anybody can really get their head around how I've coped with it.
Have you had to shut things off in your mind to be able to go on? Do you think you've had to burn a few bridges?
Yeah, I do shut a lot of things out. But
yeah.
I was back at work in under 6 months.
Okay.
I was my physio, Lynn and Jack at Seacroft. They had me walking in. I was out of hospital in 2 weeks and 1 day. They basically said to me, "You can get out of bed into a wheelchair, and then out of the wheelchair onto the toilet, you can go home." And I said, "Go get me a wheelchair." And I did it, and the next day I was home.
You wanted to be out of there then, Steve?
Yeah. Well, I couldn't see any reason for me to be there. They give me 5 pints of blood, and so all that were out of me. I were off the morphine. I were on Oromorph, the liquid and tablets, nerve block tablets. Phantom pains were horrendous.
Was they?
You'd never know like it. Electric shocks.
Yeah.
I'm sat now and I've got pins and needles in a foot that I haven't got. If you imagine the worst electric shock that you've ever had, shooting up from a toe that's not there anymore, right up to your hip, and it's just bang, 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 constantly. Through the day, it's not too bad because you're active, you're thinking about other things, you're doing it, you're laying in bed sort of thing. But it's just it's more on a night, so you get tired, so you get stressed. your mind switches off, so all it's got to think about is what's going on, you know, things like that. So that's when it starts. And I've laid in bed till it's daylight listening to birds singing. It sends you mental. It really does, though, you know, because it makes you think. Then, you know, this is hurting, and it ain't even there. Why, you know?
Has that died down, Steve? Has that disappeared, or?
It's flared up the last week. I'm due a new leg. I'm getting a new leg on the 15th.
Would you mind holding that leg sideways so I can have a look what it looks like?
I mean, that's me. That's
okay.
my leg. But I come out of hospital, and I think 3 weeks after coming out of hospital. So you're looking at 5 weeks from the accident. I had my first physio session. So I'm thinking, yeah, they'll have me sort of on a bed doing some stretches and, you know, like you do, a bit of easy physio. So Lynn comes in with this antiquated thing with springs on and a belt and stuff like that, and Velcro straps on it. And she says, right, let's get you in this. And it was a leg. And I was like, what? I'd still got my stitches in at this point, bearing in mind. And they had me walking straight away in the baths, just little steps, and I was walking.
Yeah.
So I got my leg on the Friday. I had it on from, say, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I rode my mountain bike up the drive on the first day that I got it. I walked about in the house, and then I went to the pub.
He's gone.
And I must have had it on for, I mean, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't advise this to everybody. You know, this is how I.
Yeah, it's how you deal with it. Yeah.
How I dealt with it. I wouldn't. Don't take this as, if you're an amputee out there, that's what you can do, because everybody's different. You know. Some people can't stand up for an hour, or, you know, even for a minute on a leg. It's how you are, strength wise, mentality wise, how you're going to cope with it. Don't think I can do that.
No, this is just your experience, and it might benefit someone.
Yeah.
Did you go to the pub in a pair of shorts, or?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I had my shorts on. I walked into the pub, and my mates were like, "Wow." I got a pint. I walked in. I left my sticks where they were stood. There's like a big table that you stand at. I left my sticks there. I walked to the bar, completely unaided, got a pint and walked back. So that was in, I think it was sort of that May, June, maybe July. Well, within 6 months of my accident, I was back at work. I'm a gas inspector. So I was going around customers' houses, climbing up ladders, going in, checking in lofts. And then mid-October, we'd planned that year on, because the whole year was messed up. We planned on doing some walking in the Dales. Now, Whernside is the highest peak of the 3 peaks. Why I chose to do it in October, I have no idea. me and a
Not
few
the best weather.
Yeah, me and a few mates, my missus and kids, we set out and we walked up Whernside. We were walking, setting off up the hill. It's quite a trek to start climbing up, and we're looking, and I don't know, Martin Brown, he looked at me and went, "Is that snow on top?" I says, "No, it's just wet. It's like all slate sort of sliding down the side of the peak." I said, "No, it's just wet and it's sun shining on it." Anyway, we get higher and higher that we get. It started snowing, so we've got snow, you know, a few inches thick on a path that's big Yorkshire stone slabs that are slippy, and you've got mud and all that. And anyway, unfortunately, I didn't make it to the top. It was just getting, I could have made it to the top, but it's coming back down. I didn't quite get there, so I turned around and came back, and a few others, they went on and they got to the top. But yeah, it was something I wanted to do, and I'll do it maybe later this year. You know, I might do it. Try and do it on the same date. You know, silly little things like that you do. You know what I mean? Challenges.
When did you get back on a motorcycle again?
17th of March this year. So it was 10 months and 5 days after my accident. Me and Ian went out. Yeah.
How was that?
I was cautious. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
it felt. I mean, Ian said it was like he'd never been off it.
Wow.
Up to it like that. Yeah. We went out. We did about 70 miles.
Wow.
Something like that. Yeah, I had a really good day out. But yeah, I'm glad Ian came out with me that day.
What bike did you take out?
Well, actually, in between, I've not even got my leg, and I bought a Suzuki S-Rad. So I'm in a wheelchair,
Right.
tinkering with this bike and fitting a new exhaust and a screen, and sitting on it with just my stump, you know what I mean, and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And anyway, so I sold that. Sometimes you buy a bike and it's just nice to know that you've got one and it's there for if you want.
Yeah.
When you've had one for years, opening garage door and there's nothing there,
Yeah.
So anyway, February, I think it was, somebody I know, she was selling a Triumph Street Triple.
Oh yeah.
I'd got my leg by then, back at work, everything was going well. So I went round, see it, sat on it, and just thought, yeah, this is, the quite lowish, the nice and light, the bar position, everything. I just thought, yeah, this is right bike. So I bought that, and like I say, 17th of March, went out for the first time, and it just clicked. I just thought, yeah, I'm happy with this. You know what I mean?
Do you think? I mean, you are a racer at heart. You like the fast stuff, Steve.
Yeah.
Do you think this is changed or going to change the way that you ride, or if you look at riding? Yeah,
definitely has.
What way? What way?
I wouldn't say I'm a dangerous rider by any means, not at all. But there were points where even I thought, do you know what I mean? You come back and you think, or you get the red mist, a rider passes you, and you're like, I'm going with him, and boom, you're off. And don't get me wrong, anybody that says they've never taken a bit of a risk or come out of a corner and thought, that was close, do you know what I mean, or whatever, they're not telling the truth. It's happened to all of us. You buy a bike for that freedom and that feeling of speed, and I think everybody's maybe given it a bit at some point. You know what I mean? It's going to happen. But it's definitely, I'm more cautious, a lot more cautious, because of how I have to ride, because I can't put my right leg down. If I come to a junction, I've got to make sure I'm at the right angle. If you're turning right, you put your right leg down, because you're turning that way, aren't you? I've got to be at the right angle at junction. I've always got to be in the right gear. So if I'm coming up to a junction, I'm dropping back a lot, because it ain't like I can.
Brake hard.
Yeah. And if you're at a junction and you look down and I'm in third, I can't put my right leg down
to change
to kick it down. So there's that much going on in my mind. It's like, right, I'm in second down at the first junction. Am I at right angle? Can I put my foot down there? I dropped it on Sunday. We went out on Sunday. We're at a junction at Squires, near Squires. And literally I'd been out all day, well, 5 hours or so, doing about 100 miles. Comes to a junction, turning right, looks, it'd been a bit wet, so road were a bit shiny. Puts my left foot down, foot gone, and it's over on the right-hand side. Luckily, that socket is rock hard, so the bike's on my socket.
All the riding that you've done over the years, I wonder if that's actually... And obviously it's helped you get back on a bike, but I wonder if it's helped you deal with the actual process of what you've gone through.
Yeah, oh, definitely,
Yeah,
because it makes you sort of analyse things, and, when you're riding, you think about stuff, don't you, and all that.
Yeah.
It's made me a better rider, definitely, but it's also made me realise that I can do what I want. Yeah. The only thing holding me back, which that will all change on the 15th, is my leg. Yeah. You're as good as the leg you've got, basically. Right.
I wonder if you're going to do with legs what you do with bikes, and keep going in for a different limb every year, Steve. Get a new improved one every year.
Yeah. So I'm looking at you now, and I can feel my foot sort of where the dog's asleep.
Yeah.
there,
Oh, right.
but it feels like my foot's on the floor. Now, if I look and think, how's that going through the sofa? You know, it's for split seconds. Sometimes you're like, whoa, you know. And what I do affects my family, everybody around me. So if I go downhill, it drags them down.
Yeah.
So, you know, for myself and for everybody else, I've got to stay up here. The one thing that sort of did, and I did mention it to a few people, is I'm not my leg. And I'd say that to everybody who's an amputee or, you know, got some sort of disability or whatever, is you're not your leg. You know, I used to walk into a pub or whatever and, you know, oh, how are you doing? How's your leg? Like, nobody asks how I am.
Right, yeah.
You know, it's I'm me. You know, you're not saying, how are you? You're saying, how's your leg?
Yeah.
You know, and it's not my leg that's got the problem up here. You know, it's me, you know, and I mentioned it to a few people, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, that is, it's just, that's what gets me out and about, you know. It doesn't matter, that's irrelevant. It is
it is funny how human nature takes us to those kind of things. I know, like even with somebody who's too tall, if they had a pound for everybody who said, oh, you know, you're so tall, it drives them crazy, or you're too big, or you're too short, or you've got a leg missing or an arm missing. What you really want is, what bike you on now, Steve, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
How's the missus?
How are you doing?
Yeah. So for all those people out there who keep talking about people with a missing leg or a missing arm, just treat them as ordinary people. It's no different.
Yeah. One thing I would say to anybody out there, you know, if you see me walking down the street with my shorts on, sells wear shorts or whatever, it's easier. Yeah. And you got a kid with you and they're looking, send them over.
Yeah.
Ask them, say, go ask him, because I'll tell them. And then as they grow up through life and they see somebody with a prosthetic leg or whatever, they know about it, you know. It's like if you've got a kid in a car, teach them to count bikes. Because as they grow up, they'll know to look out for bikes, you know. But yeah, send them over. I'll talk to anybody about it, mate, you know, because the more people that know about it and they understand how prosthetics work and things like that, they see a guy walking down the street with a false leg, they won't look twice.
Yeah.
You know, it's just normal. Or, you know, if a guy's got a prosthetic and they've got trousers on, you can tell, I can tell because of how the leg flicks. It's got a flick to it because you have to flick it forward to get the heel strike. Now, I can tell who's got a false leg, but some people would look at them and go, he's walking a bit funny. You know what I mean? Now, if they know that that's how you have to walk, see that guy walking like that and just go, no, he's doing well.
Was you angry towards the guy who was in the accident, you know, in the car? Have you ever spoke to him, or is that something you just don't?
It's something I don't think about. I hit the car, not the guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. I've not really thought about it. Do you know what I mean? I'm more...
They wasn't injured? The car was okay? You know, apart from the back.
I think car were written off. It was. You know, looking at the pictures, wing were ripped off, wheel were broke, door, everything else. I don't know. I mean, like I say, I've not really thought about it. Do you know what I mean? It was just to me, I hit the car, not him. You know, he's to me the guy's irrelevant. He's not tried to contact me. You know, but I don't know if he has or not, or whether he's. You know, he's asked it, whatever. I don't know. I've really got no idea, but it's just, I never thought about it, to be honest with you. And I don't think I ever will. I'm just not.
No, don't need to though, Steve. You've got a handle on all this. You're carrying on. You're building your life. You're getting back to work. You're getting back on bikes. I'm sure by the next time I talk to you in a couple of years, you'd have had 3 or 4 different bikes by then. Probably on a. Would you go on a race day again, a track day?
I'm going to book one next year. Yeah, me and Ian knew I was out with the day of the accident, and you know we've been out nearly every day. And we've been riding ever since. I think I've done about 2,000 miles this year, maybe 2.5.
That's pretty good, really, considering lockdown as well. Yeah.
But I always said I will ride on the day of the accident, and I did.
Good for you, man. Good for you.
I went past where it happened as well. I passed that.
Yeah.
Most Sundays.
How's that feel?
Give it 2 fingers to Grim Reaper side bushes.
Yeah.
That's what that's my little joke to myself, like, you know.
It's an awesome story, man. I mean, it is a shame in one way that you've got to share that kind of story, but you know,
Yeah, but
I think it's important for people to know this kind of stuff and how you've rallied round and what you've done to, you know, basically, like you said, you've stuck two fingers up to it and
yeah,
you're getting on with it and living your life. You're not going to let it stop you, are you?
No, like I say, if it helps anybody, you know, gives them a bit of a kick to sort of, instead of sitting sulking on the sofa, you know, you can do it. You know, you can walk up one side, you can get back to work, you know, and it's all right. Not everybody's mentally strong enough, you know, some people, but just think that you can, you know, even if it's just going for a walk a bit further than you would normally, or, you know, you can do it. Thanks for the opportunity to get it out there, you know, that
thanks for sharing it, man.
What's possible, basically, you know.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, there's people out there that do better than me. You know, they are, you know, you look on YouTube, you know, there's people running, there's people climbing, you know, but all that's to come for me. It's early days, you know. Karen Frosty, she says to me, she says, you've got a long road yet.
Yeah.
You know, there's all sorts you can do. So yeah, I might have a go at a climbing wall. You know, I'm going to do a track day next year for definite.
Good man.
So
I'd like to see that on your Instagram, because you post. You're quite. Yeah, you do post about your journey, don't you, on Instagram?
Yeah. Like
What's
I'm not shy.
What is it?
I don't mind.
S Bannister 74, is it?
73. Yeah, S Bannister 73.
S Bannister 73.
Yeah. It's how you want to do it. You know, it's all down to you, because nobody will do it for you. That's the thing. But I've got to get out of bed. You know, I've got to get myself to the toilet. You know, I've got to get washed. I've got to get showered. You know, I've got to get the bike out of the garage myself. You know, just you've got to do it yourself, because nobody will do it for you. You know, you're not indestructible either. You know. Yeah. I mean, literally, I had a bruise there. That's the only other mark I had on my whole body, were a bruise there. I think I had a bit of a scratch. I've had accidents. I've crashed big style on track. I've had bikes crash on road, and I've got up and walked away. But one day it bit me, you know, big style. It could have been worse. I could have been not here. So it does prove that, don't matter, you know, if you've had crashes before and got up and walked away, you're not indestructible. Nobody is. It shows how fragile we are, you know, really. Because you Google how much pressure you need to break a thigh bone, never mind smash one to bits. It shows the impact, you know.
It's quite, I know, it's quite strong, isn't it?
Yeah.
Strongest bone in the body as well, isn't it? The
yeah.
femur.
But yeah, it wasn't a particularly high speed crash. You know, it was 50, 55 mile an hour-ish.
Yeah.
When you've got two cars, you know, two vehicles colliding at that sort of speed, you know.
So it must have been probably that impact between you and the car on your right side, wasn't it? As you was taking a right bend.
Yeah.
That's what's crushed the leg completely. Yeah.
Well, if you imagine hitting a car's wing on a sport bike,
wow,
your knee's in that position, so it's hit that, you know. So it's literally just smashed it to bits.
Wow.
Like I said, I've not seen the pictures. My mind's always spinning with
good.
What next?
Keep it that way. Keep it that way.
Cheers.
I'm sure you've got many challenges along the way. Not just because of the leg. Well, because of the leg, but just things you want to do.
Just because I want to do it myself. Yeah, I'd probably wanted to have a go at it anyway.
Yeah.
And why should my leg stop me? You know.
Exactly.
Makes it more of a challenge and more of a success story if it works. If it don't, then I can't say I've not tried. You know.
Well, I'm going to have to love you and leave you now, Steve.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, it's been great talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that story with us. All right, buddy.
Smashing, lovely.
Good to talk to you, man. Take care.
You too, Paul. Take care.
See you later. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for taking the time. If you made it to the end of this video, for listening to Steve's experiences. Again, a lot of lessons to be learnt there. Stay safe, look after one another, and remember, there's never a wrong way, not on a motorcycle. Take care, guys. Till next time. Bye.